It is a really nice story. I think people always talk about Mikel Arteta and his influences, Pep Guardiola, Arsene Wenger, and they forget that he spent 6.5 years under David Moyes. He's the man who brought him into the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. And David Moyes, during his first stint as Everton manager, had one of the best defensive records, made his teams very, very difficult to play against, very difficult to beat and break down. And Mikel Arteta has obviously learnt quite a bit from him during that period and put his own little spin on how Arsenal play as well. David Moyes going back, for me, has been an absolute masterclass from the powers that be at Everton. Mainly because, obviously, for obvious reasons, the upturn in performances and results have been incredible. But also because they've brought in somebody that knows the club inside out, from top to bottom. There's a lot of the same personnel that are still there from his first time and first stint at the club. And it's not going to take much for him to acclimatise, to get used to the players, to get used to the fans, to get used to the staff behind the scenes as well. So, look, it's going to be a great opportunity for Everton, obviously, to kickstart their season again after the Merseyside derby, but also a great game for Arsenal because they're on the hunt for Liverpool, aren't they?
They are, but more so they also have a European match coming up, a really big one, a Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid in midweek. Is this kind of the perfect time for Everton to play Arsenal? Will Arsenal be taking their foot off the gas a little bit with one eye on that game, or is it about keeping that momentum going? What's your feeling?
No. Listen, the gap between Arsenal and Liverpool's bigger than Sean Wright Phillips's house. I
don't know if it's that big.
No, it's that big. but so I think we could see. I don't think they'll take their foot off the gas, but I think they will maybe look at who plays. They will not want to give too many players too many minutes between now and a face-off with the toughest team to beat at this stage of the season in the Champions League. The defending champions Real Madrid, speedsters and game changers all over the front six. You just can't fit in a tough game against Everton and then try to take them on. So I think they'll have a B team out tomorrow.
Does Saka start?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't start him.
No.
I wouldn't start him.
I would say no. He spent far too long out injured for him to start in his second appearance, especially with such a big game such as Real Madrid coming up as well. I could see him come in on for the last half an hour or so, give or take, just to get the minutes back in his legs. The last thing you want to do is put too many minutes into his legs too soon and run the risk of getting an injury again.
People will look at Real Madrid's team and they say, well, Real Madrid are playing this weekend. They know how to navigate this stage of the season.
Best team in the Champions League, Champions League history for a reason.
Yeah.
Whereas Arsenal, they don't.
Yeah.
So you're not going to basically say to Saka, take 90 minutes against Everton. Tough side to play against, defensively very, very organised take on Real Madrid. It would just be silly.
Yeah, I was working at the Emirates on Tuesday night and the roof came off. It was so loud when Saka came on. He took just 7 minutes for the number 7 to score on his return, celebrated with the medical team. Martinelli's back as well. So they've had a big boost of their attacking players coming back from injury. But then in the defence, they now have problems. They can't catch a break, it seems. Urian Timber went down injured and eventually he had to be taken off. But the big one really is Gabriel. 15 minutes in, he's gone off. He now needs to have surgery.
Yeah, and that's a humongous loss for the season, I think, in that instance. He's one of those players, he's a leader. He leads by example and the relationship that he's built with the rest of the defenders, not just one or two of them, all of the defenders and the goalkeeper, is something that's going to be dearly missed, especially with these next 2 games. 2 really, really difficult games against really difficult opponents who are full of confidence as well. Obviously, we touched on briefly Everton's loss against Liverpool, but the manner in which they've been taken over by David Moyes, they are a fantastic football team to watch now. To have your key centre-half pairing now, not as a pair anymore. You've only got one of those two. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. What do you think?
I agree. It's not going to happen. I think that they might get a point off Everton, but they're not beating Real Madrid.
Especially with Beto in the form that he is under David Moyes. Talk about revivals. But I can't wait to hear your predictions for that one, which we'll get at the end of the show. For now.
Well, yeah, it was a tough one to digest because we just got Bukayo back and then we lose Gabi. So it was tough. The team reacted like he has reacted all season. So really proud of that, and we know that he's going to be out for a while. So we need to find different solutions and keep competing the way we have been all season.
I know you said before you love the challenge of things like this, trying to work out a solution. It's the same yet again, I guess, this time.
Well, it has to be because we've come so far, and now we have the most important and beautiful part of the season, and we have to react to those things, you know. And that means that another players are going to have opportunities to play, and the team has to find other ways. And it is a big miss, undoubtedly, but we have the resources to cope with that.
And potentially even more difficulties in that area of the pitch in defence. How's Ricardo Calafiori, for example?
Yeah, Rick is not fit as well. That means because in the last week or so we lost 4 players, and that's obviously a big task. But let's see how Ben and Julian are tomorrow as well. And that's it. And keep playing and keep competing the way we have been.
So is there a chance, as we speak now, that Ben and Julian might be available?
Yeah, there's a chance, yeah.
And what if they're available, but it's a little bit of a risk with Real Madrid coming up? Would that be a factor in your decision making?
Yeah, the problem is that we have a few of those, so we're going to have to decide this evening or tomorrow, very early in the morning, which player we can play and for how long, especially.
So, for example, you played Thomas Partey at right back previously this season. Kivior was available. Declan Rice started his career as a centre back. Are all these options?
Well, there are a few on the table. How far we have to go down that route? Hopefully, not that deep, but there are options always.
Look, I'm thrilled for Mikel because he was one of our ex-players, and I think any manager's always quite pleased when they see their players go on to have careers in management or coaching. I've had a lot in my time now going into the job, so I think Mikel's done unbelievably well. I think he's probably worked under arguably the best manager in the world since Sir Alex and Pep, which has given him a great chance to see other things as well. Culturally, he was always from Spain, which would always given him a slightly different feel than here, but most of his football's been played in the UK. So he's got a really good balance of seeing what's required in the UK and from the Spanish side as well.
Did you see a coach in him when you had him here?
It's always difficult. Yeah, it's always difficult. People ask that question quite often to me. You know, who do you see as being future coaches? I think Mikel always was quite. He had his own thoughts about it, and he was good. He was a good leader as well, Mikel at the time as well, and became captain here for a long period as well. So maybe looking back, I'd say yeah, I do see that. But at the time, I don't think you ever really think, you know, what one's necessarily going to go on to be a manager.
Has he changed then?
Has he changed? No, I think he was always a bit grumpy as well as a player, and you've seen that in his management as well. But I think that overall he was a competitive player. He was a really good player as well. He done a great job for us here at Everton.
Grumpy, you expecting a few words on the touchline then?
Well, you've seen him in action, so it's not just me.
Be a wine afterwards?
I'll always invite Mikel in, ex-player, and if he wants to come in for a drink, he'll always be welcome.
Thanks, Vinny. We'll go to Simon at Premier League Productions.
Simon?
Hi. You talk about Pep and his influence. Mikel talks about the influence that you had on him as well in his career. Do you ever see, maybe the grumpiness, I don't know, but do you ever see any of your influence on him? Maybe
those antics in the touchline. When I think back to the early days, maybe that's what it was. That's a bit he's taken. Look, I think that to be a manager in the Premier League, I think you have to be able to deal with so many different situations, different teams and, going to different stadiums and teams playing different ways. I think it's, I don't think there's ever been really any easy games in the Premier League in my time, and Mikel will have understood that from a player and he'll have taken it into being a manager as well. But he hasn't half grown as a manager, and he's getting to a stage now, he's getting into a group of managers who are, challenging for trophies. He's obviously got a huge quarter-final coming up, I should say, against Real Madrid. So it's the sort of thing that you want when you're a young coach. You're hoping that you can keep progressing, climbing the ladder, and getting much closer to success.
We saw Bukayo went onto social media after making his comeback against Fulham, and he thanked the fans. He said that the energy and the love, he really felt it. He's never felt anything like it, and he'll never forget it. It shows how much it means to him to be playing again.
Yeah, well, it's like always that through a difficult situation, a really nice one can appear. And I think all the hard work and all the difficult moments I had in the last 4 months, I think they were paid off just by receiving that love, that support, and that admiration from all our people.
He's desperate to play, that makes it clear, and we know that anyway. But again, with Real Madrid coming up, he played 20 minutes, I think, last time. Can he play the whole game at Goodison, or will he come in gradually?
Well, the only focus now is what we have to do against Everton. We know how tough that place is, and we have experienced it. And every team that goes there struggles. And tomorrow we're going to have to be really strong. So the best way to prepare Real Madrid is to win and play really well tomorrow.
You say you know how tough Goodison can be. You know that better than anybody. 6 years there, the final time you'll ever play football match there. Just your feelings and reflections of the place.
Yeah, it will be very special. It's a lot of history as well between the clubs. I have my own personal story, which was a beautiful one, as well with a manager that just come back now and is doing extremely well. I'm so happy for the club, for David as well, because it's never easy to come back there for the second time. In my opinion, he was the manager, the person who lifted that club to a different level, and now he's in the journey to do it again once they move to a new stadium. So I think it's a really nice story.
You always, I'm sure, get a warm welcome there. Do you think you'll get an extra special warm welcome tomorrow?
I think when it comes to competing, they will defend their part, I will defend my part, but for me it's always very special to go back there.
I've got no super.
Former Everton colleagues reunite on the Goodison Park touchline for one final time on Saturday lunchtime, where David Moyes Toffees host Mikel Arteta's Arsenal in the Premier League. While the Merseyside outfit went down in the derby against Liverpool last time out, the Gunners strengthened their hold on second place by sinking Fulham 2-1 on home soil. From Arsenal's last 26 Premier League away matches against Everton and Liverpool combined, the Gunners have only come up trumps in 3 of them, a pleasing statistic for Moyes as the master seeks to outwit the student at his soon-to-be old home. The fire will no doubt be burning bright in Everton's bellies too, having lost their 9-game Premier League unbeaten run in Wednesday's agonising 1-0 defeat to rivals Liverpool, albeit one where they were highly fortunate not to go down to 10 for James Tarkowski's appalling challenge on Alexis Mac Allister. Regardless, the Toffees departed having suffered their first top-flight loss since January 15, one that also made it 5 games without a Premier League win after 4 straight draws, but the 15th-placed hosts still have an extremely healthy 14-point lead over the drop zone. As inspirational as Moyes' return has proven to be, the Toffees have lost their way a tad defensively. Diogo Jota's winner for Liverpool in midweek means that Everton have now let in at least 1 goal in each of their last 8 games in all tournaments, as well as 6 of their last 7 at home. The Merseyside outfit also succumbed to a 1-0 defeat when Arsenal visited Goodison in 2023-24, a result that ended a 5-game unbeaten home run versus the Gunners. But after holding out for a 0-0 draw at the Emirates in December, the Toffees could keep clean sheets in both league meetings with Arsenal in a single season for the first time in 112 years. In keeping with the theme of Arsenal's season, Soccer's return came with the caveat of 3 new issues. Ben White was ruled out before the Fulham win with a niggle, while Gabriel Magalhaes' hamstring and Jurrien Timber knee were hurt during the derby. As Gabriel has now been ruled out for the rest of the season, Jakub Kiwior can look forward to a rare start in defence, while Thomas Partey takes on right-back duties again. Ricardo Calafiori knee, Takahiro Tomiyasu knee, Gabriel Jesus ACL and Kai Havertz hamstring all remain in the Arsenal infirmary too, but after coming through 30 minutes unscathed in midweek, Soccer is surely now in the reckoning for his first start of 2025. On Everton's side, Tarkowski arguably should be suspended for this encounter after the PGMOL admitted that his tackle on Mac Allister amounted to a red card offence, but the ex-Burnley man is fine to take his place in the lineup here. That is more than can be said for Oral Mangala knee, Dominic Calvert-Lewin thigh and Dwight McNeil knee, but key attacker Iliman Ndiaye is fit again and was able to enjoy a second-half cameo in the loss to Liverpool. Ndiaye for Harrison in the final third ought to be considered by Moyes, but the Everton boss should otherwise stick rather than twist, thus resisting the temptation to line up with a 5-man defensive wall.